In this video, I'm going to show you how to join two sections of butcher block countertop together. This countertop I purchased from Lowe's, and it was two countertops. I had to cut one down and be able to make it wide enough to make a kitchen island. I'll have links in the description of tools that I used in this project. All right, today I'm going to be joining two halves or two sections of butcher block I had purchased from Lowe's and ripped it down because I'm going to be making a kitchen island. So I had ripped it down to size in my makeshift table saw area, and I wanted to show you how I'm going to join them together. And I'm going to use 12-inch mending plates, and I space them out. I used 3 of them for this 6-foot section of counter, and I'm going to use 3 12-inch mending plates. So I went through, marked the outline, and I'm going to use a palm router with a 1/4-inch bit to trim out the section, the area, the depth of the mending plate itself, so that way this will sit flush. And then the other methods of joining, I'm going to use the Kreg jig instead of like a biscuit joiner. So I'm going to do some Kreg screws, and all these tools I did pay for outright, and there's no sponsors, so I appreciate if you give a thumbs up and a like and subscribe, and I'll show you the steps that I'm going to do to join the two parts of the butcher block. Well, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the ends down. You see this is the fresh cut sides here because I cut off the routed ends that comes from the factory. So I'm going to do that, glue it together, and then also take 4-foot clamps and clamp it together. And then once I have it all clamped together, then I'll put these mending plates in place. All right, follow me along. All right, got the Kreg jig set up here for 1.5 inch. Material is actually a little bit thicker than that, but it'll still work. So I'm just gonna do some pocket holes, probably like a couple in between each of these places. Here are the mending plates. So I just set it and then tighten it up here to where it holds it in place, clamps it down. I have the drill set to the proper depth, and then you just start drilling. There's a couple See, it didn't even make the hole in here, but once you get the screws in, it'll go through and then connect to the other side. So I'm going to alternate sides between throughout. Alright, I used the Spax 1.25 inch construction screws. This is what they look like. There's a little bit of a taper to the head here. And then I use those for the mending plate so it makes it more flat. And these are 2.5 inch Craig screws I'm using to go into the Craig jig holes. Now I am missing the clip to where I glued the ends together as well as clamped it, and I put it on the upside down, and then I started putting in the mending plates, so that clip was lost. Okay, after I was done putting in the mending plates and the Craig screws, I flipped it back over to where the clamps are on the top now. Here I'm showing there is a little bit of a gap in between the two pieces after gluing it in. Now I am going to go over it with a DeWalt sander and smooth out the edges as well as the seam in between the two, so it'll look seamless then. Working on the butcher block project, after the glued in place, and I took an orbital sander and sanded down the transition. I used the DeWalt 20 volt orbital sander with 100 grit, starting off sanding the transition, and now it's smooth between the two here, so it makes it look seamless. And then I'm also had cut off 3 of the corners using my DeWalt jigsaw with the Bosch the wood scroll blades. And I took a glass jar lid to create the corner that I wanted to cut off, and cut it off with the jigsaw here. So then you follow it up to round off the edges here with the palm router. I used a roundover bit, which is made by Bosch again, and went through and rounded off the edges here. And this is the bit I used. It's a 3/8 roundover 1/4 inch shank that fits the palm router. And now I'm going to be going through with a 200 grit paper, making it more smooth along the edges, as well as doing a top sanding to make it more smooth. And that's been the process so far. Alright, this is the sandpaper I'm using. It's the Diablo 5-inch orbital sand paper. It's a 220 grit. I'm doing it for the final top coat sand, as well as going through and just sanding off the corners here and making it be super smooth and ready for the top finish then. Alright, so you'll see here, I don't know if the camera will show it, but you can see like a little bit of a groove right there. So that's what I'm going to be sanding off, and that would have been from the round over bit. So I'm going to sand that off just like I did over here to get rid of it. so it makes it more professional looking. All right, here's the completed top now, and just to let you know, we finished it with boiled linseed oil. We did multiple coats of it. That way it could be used for food prep. And throughout time, like, you want to basically treat it with boiled linseed oil if you use that route. Continue to use that treatment like maybe once a month or every few months. Just depends on how much you use it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more DIY tips, tricks, and reviews. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.